We're going to go live and we're going to talk Star Trek Strange New Worlds. It premiered yesterday. Now, guys, I wanted to watch it last night, but I had a little bit of Cinco de Mayo fun. I did watch Star Trek Picard. I reviewed that on the channel. That's on the channel if you want to hear me ranting and raving about how much I didn't really like this season. I'm sorry, all fans of Star Trek Picard. Season two, I just really didn't like this season. I liked it at the beginning, and then at the end, or in the middle, it kind of fell apart a little bit. Although I did think the last episode was kind of cool. And if you want to see me ranting and raving about that for an hour, it's on the channel. And tonight, though, we're going to talk about Strange New Worlds, the new Star Trek series. Oh my God, there's so much Star Trek. I never imagined this. And I went through all of this yesterday, how I never imagined I would be seeing so much Star Trek in this day and age. Pretty much, I thought Star Trek was dead in the water on TV. So it's cool to see all these new Star Trek shows. I love them in different measures, even if sometimes, they don't hit the mark. Like I thought Picard didn't really hit the mark this season, but I'm glad they're out there. And let's get one thing out of the way quickly. They're all Star Trek. Oh my God, they're all Star Trek. They are. And the difference between Strange New Worlds is that it just has a more traditional story format. That's it, basically. It's not nothing about Strange New Worlds is more Star Trek than Discovery, is more Star Trek than Picard or Lower Decks, or even if you go back as far as Deep Space Nine, I think there's still people out there who don't consider that Gene's vision. But anyway, that's your opinion. I don't hold it. I love all these different iterations, some more than others, and that's about it. Okay. Now, how did I feel about this very first episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds? I loved it. I thought it was cool. It was nice to have like this throwback series. And they delivered on what they promised, which was the fact that these would be shows that would be bottled episodes where they would have something to do, a mystery to solve, a conflict to resolve in an hour, and they did, and that's it. I thought it worked perfectly. Pike is wonderful, and I'm so happy Pike, Pike has just grown and grown and grown. He was this character from a thrown away pilot, because everybody knows already the story of the cage, and the executives looked at the cage and said, man, we can't sell this. I mean, it's way too cerebral. I happen to really enjoy that episode, but looking at it from an entertainment standpoint, it doesn't really work. It's almost like Star Trek, the motion picture. It's a movie I really appreciate, but come on. Wrath of Khan and Beyond is way more entertaining, and it's television, guys. You have to entertain at the end of the day. So we have Pike, who does come back in a menagerie. So all you folks that are into new Trek and haven't seen old Trek, check out the menagerie, which gives you clips of the cage. So it's almost they recycled some of the episodes of some of the scenes from the cage in that episode. So you get more of the Pike backstory. And it was just a secondary character who really thought of Pike that much after that. It's Captain Kirk, and then later Captain Picard. And that's it until we get to the Kelvin movies. And then we get more Pike. And he's really cool in Star Trek, the Kelvin movies, the Kelvinverse. And then, surprise, surprise, he shows up in season 2 of Star Trek Picard and Star Trek Discovery. I tell you, there's so many Star Trek shows now. I'm old. I can't do this. I can't remember all these names, guys. So he shows up in season 2 of Star Trek Picard and just blows it out of the water. He is the standout of that season. And him and Spock. And folks, all of a sudden now we have this clamor for we need the spin-off series. We need the spin-off series. I don't know if that was their plan to begin with, but it turned out that that's what happened. I didn't believe it at first, but I'm glad it's here. So we got Anson Mount, Ethan Peck, and Rebecca Romaine. Those are the 3 main characters. Rebecca Romaine playing number one, Una. Ethan Peck plays Spock, and Anson Mount plays Captain Pike. And you've all, I imagine, seen the episode. I always forget to say spoilers, and I always forget to say like and subscribe to the page, too. Good Lord. Please like and subscribe to the page. I'm doing Star Trek Deep Space Nine reviews every week, usually on a Wednesday. Depends on how heavy my workload is. Sometimes it'll be on a Thursday, but it's all at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. here in Brazil, where I live. So I think next week, in fact, I may come on a Thursday, but I'm not sure yet. Depends on whether something goes through or not, as far as work related. But anyway, back to this. Yeah, this first episode was just about as good as a first episode could be. You know, it's set up where Pike was post-discovery, which was really important. And I saw an interview with Anson Mount where he did talk about that. He thought it was very important to deal with that. The fact that in season 2, he saw his death. He saw what he would become in the menagerie. In the menagerie, we get to see what he becomes. And we also get acknowledgement of, hey, this is classified. You know, we don't know what happened to the Discovery and that it went to the future, but also the fact that that was a major space event and some planets saw it go down and said, what the hell was that? So that was cool. It was cool that they tied it all in, and it made it feel even more real because, you know, there's still those folks out there who are like, oh my God, you know, how come nobody ever talked about the Starship Discovery and all that technology that it had and blah, 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 blah. And then they were like, oh, they should have started in the future to begin with. And the show's much better now in the future, which I won't disagree with. I do like Star Trek Discovery in the future, although I do love season 2. Season 2 of Star Trek Discovery, which is so damn great. But so it's cool that it just acknowledges it in this series that's in the Prime universe. I don't know. I have to give all these disclaimers. I think there's still people out there who believe that this is some alternate universe. No, in the Prime universe, Pike, who was the captain before Kirk, acknowledges that there was a ship called Discovery that went to the future, and it's classified. And so it just brings it all home even more, which I think is cool and makes it feel even more real and believable that this all happens. And I also like that they acknowledge Spock feeling kind of bad about missing his sister and stuff like that, which for me solidifies even more the fact that Spock would never bring her up. You know, one, because it's classified, but two, because Spock is already private. He's a private guy. We didn't know, you know, he never told Kirk about his mom and dad, or the fact that he was married, or the fact that he had a brother named Sybok. So what would make Michael Burnham any different? Okay, and then you add in the fact that he feels really bad about being a participant in her being catapulted into, you know, 300 or 800 years in the future, right? I forgot now. I'm terrible with these star dates. Yeah, I don't think Spock would have any reason to mention her. Makes logical sense. It's logical, right? It's Spock. So all of this stuff they dealt with in this first episode, I thought was really cool. But then we get into the adventure. We get Pike not wanting to be back in space because he realizes, I'm going to die in space. I ain't going back out there. And this first episode is his journey to getting back into space. And that I will admit, you know, that when we get emotional things like that, emotional arcs, they can tend to, if they're not written very, very well, and you're doing a season-long arc to get somebody to come to this conclusion, it can get drawn out, which I think was the problem with Star Trek Picard. Not as much season 1, but very much in season 2. And here, it just resolved. It resolved in one episode. There's still tinges, maybe there's going to be tinges of, oh my God, is this the right choice that we can throw in there in episode 4, episode 6 or something, you know, throughout the series. But for the most part, the decision was made. This harkens back to, speaking of Deep Space Nine, the emissary, where Cisco was done. He's like, I don't want to be back out here. I definitely don't want this job out in this outpost in the middle of nowhere. But by the end of the episode, he realizes, no, you got to be here. You got to let go of the past and move forward. And then we get all the character development that show had throughout its many seasons, but little sprinkle here, little sprinkle there. But in one episode, you will see something move, a piece move. So that was cool that they managed to do that very well. Episode moved quickly. Sometimes I thought it moved a bit too quickly. They tried to cram too much stuff in there in this first episode, but that's fine. That's like a pilot. A pilot is going to have that. First episode, you got to get all the pieces on the board because you want to move to the adventure part of Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, which is what they promised. And what is going to be different about it is we're going to be visiting new life and new civilization. We want to see something new and different every week. So what probably would have been a season or 4-episode arc on another show was resolved pretty quickly here, but I think a little too quickly. I think even if you go back to TNG or Deep Space Nine or even TOS, Voyager, Enterprise, I'm mentioning any show in the classic Trek, I think an issue as deep as the one that they were dealing with, and oh my God, am I actually not going to do a spoiler? I always tend to forget to say spoilers at the beginning, but hopefully you watched the episode by the time you're watching this. So if I slip up and do give a spoiler, hey, at least you saw it. But what was left, I guess this is a spoiler, right? It's the very important detail of the episode is the fact that them going into the future left some traces of whatever out in space. And some planets saw this, and they used that technology to create a warp bomb, if I'm not mistaken. And so Pike and gets called back out into space by Admiral April, which, good Lord. Oh God, how rude of me. I had a long day. But Captain April calls our friend Pike out to space and says, look, you got to save your girl, number one, who was captured by people in this planet because they read a warp signature and it wasn't exactly what they thought it was. And boom, they are locked up. And so Pike goes down there, saves them, but then he realizes, shit, we're kind of responsible for giving these people technology to create a bomb. And this planet is a lot like Earth. Like they're going through changes right now. They're like in the midst of a civil war almost, or I should say the midst of a civil war. They're about to go there. They're about to go through planetary destruction mode. And it was very cool where he made that decision that, hey, I got to step in. If we're going to influence them, which we already did, we might as well influence them in a positive way so that they don't blow each other up, because that's basically what Earth did. And that was cool, man. That was cool that he showed clips from Earth and where we were headed, what led Earth to its America to its second Civil War, and Earth to its Third World War, because that's stuff that's always talked about. I mean, we did have the episode in DS9 with the Bell Riots, which was really cool, but it's not something that we've seen on the screen. So it was very cool to see that on the screen. And a lot of people talk about what type of Star Trek shows they want to see. And, the cadet one, I don't know if I'd be into that. That sounds like it would be very soap opera-y. But one that goes into this period of, Earth pre-stellar interstellar travel Earth, for me would be really cool. It would be Star Trek, but 0 stars and 0 trekking, but just a prequel, like the mother of all prequels, just setting up what finally gets Earth on the right track to go out into space. Zachariah and all those guys like from First Contact and stuff. So I think that would be a really cool thing to do. I definitely enjoyed those clips. And what else do I want to say about this episode that I thought was interesting? Very vibrant, bright colors, which I think is cool to see. It's a contrast. All the shows now have different palettes. Discovery is more on the blue tones, dark tones. Uh, Picard very pastel-ish colors. Pastel, light pastel, earth tones, which I like, and it's just bright, 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 which harkens back to the original series. So cool. Congrats to the art design team and the costume team and all that stuff. You did a really good job with that. And yeah, it did feel like slipping on those comfortable slippers. And I'm glad that there are people that are enjoying it and that really enjoyed it. But guys, just be civil about it. Just because you enjoyed Star Trek Strange New Worlds doesn't make any other of the new Star Trek series any less than. They're just Star Trek. What makes Star Trek so cool is that it's a huge universe. You know, I had this debate before with somebody that was in the Star Wars fandom, and I love Star Wars too. So it's not like an angry debate. But we were debating like who has the most expansive universe, and I guess if you go into like the books and the video games and this, that, and the third, probably Star Wars would win. But as far as what's on film, whether TV or movies, I think Star Trek beats it by a lot. I mean, yes, it's based in this idea of Starfleet, so that's kind of closed. But we have Voyager out in the Delta Quadrant. We have, Deep Space Nine over by the wormhole and on the base there, the Cardassian base. We got TOS all the way back in the day, TNG, couple, centuries later, however long later, not centuries, yeah, because McCoy's still alive. And they explore different regions of space and meet new life, new civilizations, and it doesn't all have to connect back to the Luke Skywalker drama, which I think is, or the Darth Vader drama, which I think Star Wars gets caught in. I think Star Trek is a little bit more expansive, and because of that, you can show different sides of what space exploration is. Yeah, we got Discovery, 800 years in the future. So it can show different sides of what space exploration can be, space conflict can be. And it doesn't have to be tied to like this one person. We always love our Easter eggs, but really the only thing that ties it all together is hope, is humanity. And sometimes that hope is going to shine brightest when it's the darkest. So it's okay to have a dark Star Trek like Deep Space Nine and Discovery to some extent, because it's sometimes, when you're digging through all that mud is when you realize, oh shit, it really does mean a lot to still be positive, still have hope, and still believe that we can work together for a greater good. Now, Strange New Worlds is on a different vibe. That one is like, we are a happy family, and we're gonna, we're gonna have some hardships, of course, but we're in this together, and it got that from the gate. We got that from the gate, and it's great too. Okay, so I can't wait to watch next week. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Captain Pike may, quickly shoot up to the top of a lot of people's lists as their favorite captain, which is really awesome. Again, considering that he didn't have much screen time, he was just failed pilot. He was a failed pilot, part of a failed pilot episode. So, and now he's got this whole lore, and he's got, what sucks is that, well, he's not gonna die, but he's gonna be decommissioned. And you kind of wish he wasn't. You kind of wish, hey, Captain Pike would just go on and on and on, just like Kirk went on and on and on. So um, maybe we can have some weird transporter incident, and we get a double of Pike that gets sucked into some alternate universe or something. I don't know. You know, I'd like to see alternate universe Pike somewhere where he doesn't die and he just keeps commanding the Starship Enterprise all the way up through the undiscovered country. That would be really cool to see how he would deal with those same issues differently than Kirk. Although Kirk is still my favorite. Can't beat Kirk. Just cannot do it. Okay. And that's it, folks. Keeping this one short. Sorry if I rambled. I did have a long week. I just came out of a rehearsal. If you want to listen to some of my music, Phil Ray Music on Instagram. And much love to you. Live long and prosper. I'm looking forward to some more strange news.